So today, let's get our show started off right. Let's talk about some of the different points of what happens when we are at an impasse in the marriage.
So you mean like arguments like when you're wrong and I'm right and you can't seem to understand what's right.
Guys, this show is going to go really, really well. Rock Solid Families wants to thank Maxwell Construction for sponsoring the Rock Solid Families podcast. For over 30 years, Maxwell Construction has been a leader in turning dreams into realities, building schools, banks, restaurants, and many other commercial and public facilities. Maxwell Construction has made it their priority to not just build buildings, but to build into their community. So if you have any construction needs, call them at 812-537-2200. Welcome to Rock Solid Families. This is Merrill Hutchinson alongside of Linda Hutchinson. Hello, Linda. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, but I notice your new shirts.
I'm sporting the fall brown.
It is a new month, so
I don't really like fall brown. It's like drab, but you know.
You don't like fall because the more the leaves fall off the trees, the sadder.
I was actually pretty good for the day that we're recording this. By the time you're listening, I will be one unhappy person.
Well, I mean, don't you love the colors, though?
Yeah, but they've only got about 30 seconds left.
Oh, I know.
And they're all going to be gone. In fact, I don't know. Did you look at the weather? The weather is going to be rainy, windy, and cold for this weekend. So pretty much all those leaves you're talking about.
Well, it depends on when you're listening, but that doesn't have anything to do with our show today.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Kind of, I don't know. It might have something to do with our show. So today, let's get our show started off right. Let's talk about some of the different points of what happens when we are at an impasse in the marriage.
So you mean like arguments like when you're wrong and I'm right and you can't seem to understand what's right.
Guys, this show is going to go really, really well. This is how we start, guys. This is how we start. Like, you notice who's like wrong.
I think, as the weather gets colder and darker and like you get a little bit of a little attitude, and so maybe,
And you don't?
All right. On a serious note, it can be a challenge, obviously, in all of our marriages, especially with two strong-willed people. Not that we are or anything, but it doesn't matter how long you've been married. I just told a client today, we've been married 36 years. We've known each other for 39 years, and we still have arguments and we still have impasses. And so we're two different people. We see and experience the world in two different ways, thus conflict, right?
That's true. That's true. And again, it's not the conflict. Conflict's not going to go away, as you talked about, right? It's not going to go away. Well, it could be reduced as you get more and more on the same page and you start thinking more and more like me.
I knew you were going to go there. I knew it.
But it's not technically fully going to go away. And so it's really, we're talking about the tools, and part of that is the mindset and the approach of how we go through this. So before we get in there, let's thank our sponsors. Let's thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions and Maxwell Construction for sponsoring the Rock Solid Families podcast. So we want to thank those guys. Also, we just want to thank all of you out there that are listening and continue to support what we're doing here in our 5th year of Rock Solid Families. And gosh, before you know it, hon, this year is going to be finished.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah,
see, now I got you depressed. Right.
No, but so we are talking about the impasse. We're talking about when you come together or you don't come together, you have this conflict. And what are some of the, I don't even know if we have to tell them some of the more common subjects that we see walking in our doors that couples are arguing over. Let's just talk about our house for example.
Well, of course, here are the low-hanging fruit arguments: money, sex, sex,
Yep. Check.
responsibilities
Check.
or chores, you know, the children, right? Family stuff, family issues going on, lifestyle, like, you know, I like to spend my time doing this, you like to spend your time doing that. So, I mean, these are the things that are just prevalent really between all people, but in the marriage, they seem to get magnified. And, you know, when you first are dating and get married, you can see differences in personality, but isn't it amazing how you just, love is blind, right? You look right through that, you know, and then, you know, you get married in a year or two and you're like, that is the most annoying feature of my partner that I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't found that yet.
I haven't found that yet after 39 years, but lying is one of mine. So,
oh, wow.
well, I mean, conflict, right? We're talking about conflict, and we have it. So
It's going to run all the way through the show, guys.
You know, these topics are often controversial because they can touch these deep emotions and values and even wounds, hun. There's a book that we're going to refer to more even next week called How We Love. And the back of the book says, what if the argument you last have with your spouse happened way before you met? And so what we're finding is, especially in our work, especially on attachment, is that we step on landmines and triggers on things where, you know, you might come home late from work, but it triggers something way back to my dad, who would not show up for days, you know, and so it might be the first time for you, or it might be an accident by you, but it triggers something in me. So these are deep wounds and deep emotions that we have to be, you know, understanding of and start to recognize in ourselves and in our partners. So
I mean, wounds and things, those are our past experiences. They definitely play into this. But hun, sometimes just how we're wired. Yeah. You know, if one of us is a more logical thinker and one of us is more emotional thinker, we just take problems apart differently. Right. And so when you know, I have to go your way around things and I don't see it, it's harder. When you have to go my way, it's harder. And so that can be dig your heels in and like, well, until you come around my way. And so, and that has not a lot to do with how you were brought up. That's your wiring. Okay?
Right. Yeah. But as I just told a client earlier today, I don't panic when we go in conflict, because I know that I have this toolkit, okay, that I can bring out, and then
mostly it involves a hammer, guys. Mostly it involves a hammer.
A drill. No, but I know that we have the tools to be able to repair the conflict and heal whatever the impasse was. And so we want to give that to you. We want to help you, equip you, so that you don't get scared or freak out at the next conflict. You're ready, like, oh, okay, here we go. Let's dig in. And so we want to equip you that way.
Yeah. Well, hon, this kind of leads me a little bit. So really, when you talk about conflict, and so as a rule of thumb, I use this in my sessions with couples, and I use it as a bar to shoot for. I know it's not necessarily a reality, and that is, I say, from now on, there's no more arguments. There's no more arguments allowed. And I do that because argument in marriage with people is not like you might see argument of law, you know, to make a proper argument. But when you and I hear about the term argument, and when couples bring that into us and they use that term argument, it's got two things baked into it. One is emotion. Emotion is baked in. As soon as I hear, there's going to be an argument. And so it automatically, it's an emotional tie. The second thing is argument has the tie to it of a win and a loss.
Exactly.
All right. And so those two things, I'm emotional and I'm going for a win. Yeah. And so right there, guys, those two things get us in a lot of trouble. And if I don't understand how the emotion is being tipped off here, okay, and I just let the emotion flow, and I'd say, well, this is how I am. I mean, hun, you talked about your tools. Yeah. And one of your tools is you got to get yourself calmed down. You got to, and we talk about how we do that. We did fire alarms and fire drills and all these different languages. Yeah. But you better grab hold of that, because if you allow the emotions to drive it, you lose your ability to do conflict resolution. Yeah. You're only doing emotional satisfying of whatever that trigger was.
Or reacting. You know, it's kind of like, and you are so much better at crisis as I am. Like I am like, the emotion kind of comes out of me. But like if all of a sudden I caught the stove on fire and in my emotion, I'm like, don't know what to do. And I just got to be careful that what I put on it, how I react is so important, whether or not that's going to, burn down the kitchen or, I might have to just replace my stove, which
This is totally off subject, but it just reminded me of a story that you might get a kick out of. Remember when I fell through the window?
Oh my gosh! Yes. So it wasn't really a window; it was a window picture. It was like a window frame.
It was a window pane. Now,
right.
guys, this was given to me as a gift,
story.
And it was an old farm window, and a friend of ours painted like a scene on it, and it was real heavy, and it needed to be hung up on a wall. So it was kind of a piece of decoration art.
Yeah.
And it was really heavy, and I said, I'm only going to hang this thing once because you're going to have to do it right. And so because I might struggle with procrastination at times, it sat in our bedroom up against the wall, on the floor against the wall. And it sat there, and we'd kind of look at it, and I just never got really motivated. And so one night, I go to get up, and guys, this is just weird. Okay, this is how God woke me up. I went to do kind of a stretch, and I lost my balance. And as I lost my balance
in the dark,
and I'm reaching for walls, and there aren't any walls to grab, I hit this window and fall, and my arm goes right through. Well, right away I knew this isn't going to be good, but the room's totally dark.
Yes.
And so
I'm dead asleep, by the way.
And so Linda comes up out of the sleep, and I walk over and try to find a light. I get the light, and blood, I'm not kidding you, blood is squirting.
All over.
I've hit arteries.
Walls, floors.
And I have a scar that runs about 5 or 6 inches all the way across my forearm. And with the funny, and guys, not to gross you out, but really the whole flap of skin was just hanging
there was
off.
a shard of glass that was in your arm.
Yeah.
It was so disgusting.
So here I am, and I'm still kind of half asleep.
Gives me the willies.
And you are going crazy.
What do I do?
Oh my gosh! Oh my God! I'm like, hon, just get me a towel.
Oh my gosh.
We need to wrap this up.
And this is your arm.
And we need to get to the emergency room now.
Oh my gosh.
And so I remember driving in the car, just going, hon, just keep driving. Just keep driving. We're fine.
Well, we had to invite our neighbor over because we had kids. It was just really crazy.
Yeah.
But
anyway, I don't know why. But it does talk about what happens when you get hit, and it talks about where you naturally are wired.
Yeah.
Some of us, we have first responders for a reason, because some dudes can go out there and see things blow up, and they go, okay, guys, and that is a gift, as well as it could be a curse, okay? And so it is that balance of us learning who we are in these settings, and then trying to figure out how we're going to work those in the marriage.
Yeah. So here's some tips for stopping the argument constructively or handling the impasse healthy. And it actually stems from Ephesians 4:26 and 27. It says, "In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold." So, hon, you actually just named the first step we've got to do when we have an impasse or have conflict, and that is to stay calm. That was like a perfect story that I totally
just led right
in. And it
in.
actually kind of gave me the chills as I'm thinking about it, because I do remember just that your arm was just laid open. I mean, you had to go into surgery that night. It was disgusting. But I didn't know what to do.
By the way, we threw that window away.
And we had to replace the carpet because blood had just stained everywhere.
Guys, we are sorry for getting so graphic today on this.
But
this
you got to
was not
stay
in the
calm,
notes.
even in the middle of crisis or conflict, right? And you got to stay respectful. That is one thing I will say, that even in your trauma, because that was definitely a trauma for you, you weren't going, "I told you," you weren't screaming at me. You were like, "Honey, it's okay. Just get a towel. Let's put my shoes on and let's go to the hospital.
I'm bleeding out. Do you have an insurance policy?"
And I'm like, "Do I call the ambulance? Do I call 911? He's like, "Just get me in a car. We can be faster." So if you can avoid the name calling and the insults and the hurtful language and stay calm in the conflict or the impasse, you will go way ahead of the problem so fast.
And I think it's real important, Hundu, if you're listening to this now, you can't wait for your next incident to happen for you to go, oh, I need to remain calm. You really want to be thinking, well, what can I do?
Yeah.
You have to do prep. A fireman learns drills and he practices and he knows what to do before he gets there. And so if you know that you're more of an emotionally charged person, you have to set some things up so that you just don't go there. Don't expect that all of a sudden you're going to be calm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the next one, and I'm staying on the scenario of this arm issue. The next one is focus on the issue at hand. So if
At arm,
if I had gone to you, time out, I need to go throw a load of laundry in. Can you imagine? You would be like, are you kidding me?
I would have lost my calm.
I am bleeding out,
Yeah.
And so you can't divert. And we do that a lot because we will throw in the kitchen sink of all the other past grievances and all the other examples of when I lost my mind and my cool. And if you bring up the past in that moment, we're not going to deal with the issue and focus on the issue at hand. The issue at hand was getting you to the hospital and stopping the bleeding, right? And so you've got to do that in an impasse and a conflict.
Yeah, and so if you're in that discussion, and so this is sometimes if maybe, let's just say we were in a argument or a conflict, I don't know, about the kids and Christmas or something, and we got into this conflict, and then we start saying, you do this at every holiday. You do this at every holiday. This is what comes up.
Last birthday, you did that too.
And so now you're taking the focus off what are we doing for this particular Christmas event, and now you're starting to generalize it out, and we're starting to throw mud on all of these things. And so this is where it's all out. Okay, we have an assault going on. All right, so keeping it focused on. Listen, we were just talking about the kids and what we're going to do this particular Christmas. Why do we have to go there?
So you bring up holidays. I remember having an impasse with you, one of our first married 4th of Julys, because my family did a big parade and grill out. Your family did a big family reunion and picnic. And they're too far apart to kind of do them all on the same day at the same time. And so it's kind of like, what are we doing? There was an impasse there. And so we really had to kind of work through and brainstorm and listen to each other's point of view. Like, hey, this is a family reunion with all of my cousins I only see once a year. Okay. Or maybe it's another event with my family that I see every month, and so you got to listen and try to understand what your partner's trying to say.
I don't know if we resolved that one well. You remember what we did?
We ended up going to Kings Island.
Yeah,
we went to neither one.
So we went to neither, and that was because both of our heels were dug in, and we said, well, then we won't do either. And so we walked around very happily at Kings Island, like, you want to ride another roller coaster?
And we don't even like roller coasters.
Yeah. So we basically we did compromise, but it was a total avoidance, and it was a total heel stuck in the ground.
But I think that after that day at Kings Island around no family, we definitely came to the understanding is we do want to be with family.
Right.
And we got to be willing to compromise. So maybe we're going to do every other year that, or maybe, like I said, it was a big family reunion at that time. So yes, I think that should have been taken priority because it was around more people
now
we
you
don't
tell
get
me.
to see.
I mean, 35 years later, now you tell me.
So listen to your partner's point of view and be willing to compromise. Don't come in with your heels dug and your mind made up, because that's going to come off very disrespectful, very unloving, very stubborn. Not that we've ever done that before.
Let's go back for a second and sit on listen to your partner's point of view. That is so hard to do because even if we say, I'm listening, right? And so even if I am quiet, it doesn't mean I'm internalizing it and trying to see their perspective, like how they're coming through it and they've internalized it. And so a lot of times I'm hearing the words, but you can actually look in somebody's eyes and see that they're already precasting out their thought and solution. And so if your partner's talking, the idea of first, and it is hard. Sometimes you want to interrupt. You want to actually, state your opinion right midstream, all these different things. So the idea is we learn it in counseling, but it doesn't mean we do it in real life all the time. And that is, so I hear you saying, and this is how you're coming to that.
Yeah.
So that way you've not just heard the words, but you've also walked through how they process it versus wanting to say, well, this is how I would process it.
Yeah. And actually, we're going to expand on this idea next week, and we're going to give you a very practical tool, an exercise that you can do with your spouse. So please tune in more, because this is a huge part. We're not listening to understand anybody anymore. We are totally just kind of shutting people out. We're kind of making our own conclusions. We're kind of doing our own thing, having our own truth. And we are not, so many people are not willing to sit down and really face to face work things out, listen to one another, feeling heard and understood. So we're going to try to do that better next week.
Yeah. So part of the idea is we talked about being willing to compromise, which is one of our points. And I think the reason why we get our heels stuck in the ground goes back to how I perceive the difference and how I'm going to either win at this or I'm going to lose at this. And so it's important that early on, well before conflict comes about, that you've established, well, what in our home is a win? And if a win is one of you getting your way at the expense of the other, that's actually not a win for the marriage, okay? Any win and loss is actually kind of a loss for everybody, okay, in terms of the marriage and the family. And so the way that I learn that I'm willing to compromise is to say, okay, who am I winning for? Who am I winning for? Because if it's all about me, and I will do things my way, I'm going to run this boat.
Yeah.
We're going to schedule things my way. We're going to do it. I'm going to have my name on everything. Yeah. Then it's all about through me.
Yeah.
And so the idea of what's the win for the group or the team or the marriage?
And what's it going to mean for my marriage? Before you keep in mind the win, something else that we want to say before we kind of forgot, and that is emotions are going to get high. There's a chance that you're going to get emotionally reacting to whatever is being said or done. And so you've got to start to recognize that and take a time out. And so we talked all about that in a show previously we called Fire Drills and Fire Alarms. And so if your fire alarm's going off, that's something you're getting upset or getting frustrated or you're getting jealous or whatever, that you start to give yourself a timeout and do this fire drill. And so we don't have the time to unpack that, but go back and check out that show, because man, you got to take a break if you need it. If you start to feel your teeth grind and your fist clench and the scowl on your face, that partner's going to know something's up.
Yeah, I mean, and all of a sudden, it's a lot of us have a hard time getting through it. Then once we've done the damage of some of the words we say or the names we call, and so we're in cleanup mode for the next week or two. Yeah, guys. All right, so we're getting ready to wrap things up here, and the idea here is we are going to have disagreements, and disagreements are not bad in and of themselves. And so we're not trying to be disagreement free. We're not trying to be conflict free, because iron sharpens iron. Sometimes there's, I don't get your way, but I need to hear your way. And so that's that idea of us both having a willingness to grow into a certain direction. So disagreements are not bad.
Okay. So I also want to throw in here another show that we did I would love for you to go back to, and that is the essentials of trust. Because part of where impasse comes from is that I don't trust that you have my intentions, like that you have my back, that you care about me, that you are reliable, or I can count on you, or you're not going to, throw me to the wolves or throw me under the bus. Like, you've got to trust the person that you're even in conflict with, or you're just gonna stay going at it. And so I really encourage you to go back to the show on trust and the 5 essentials in trust. And I'm just gonna run through them super quick because I have memorized them. It comes from the book by Dr. Henry Cloud called Trust. I just taught a class in this, which loved it. And it was, I think every person in a relationship should read. But the 5 essentials, the first one is feeling heard and understood. Yeah. And that's what we're talking about. Like, you've got to listen to understand. You got to sit in that so that they feel heard. And that's the very first essential that's got to be there for trust. The second one is motives. Like, I got to trust your motives, that you have my good and you're considering my good. Like, it's not just all about the win for you. Right. Like, you want the marriage to work. You want to fight for us. And so the motives have got to be there and trusted. The third one is ability. Like, I got to believe you could do it. Like, if you said, trust me, like, I'll take care of all those bills. Just leave them to me. And you don't believe that, if I don't believe you can do it, then, I don't believe in your abilities. The fourth one is character. If you're not being honest with me, if I don't believe you're dependable, reliable, or trustworthy, you're honest, I'm probably not going to even want to hear what you have to say.
Well, the character is something that's been built up over time. You develop character. So if your reputation, we've talked about this often with kids, if your reputation for the last 10 years has been that you're not trustworthy, don't expect that I'm going to jump right in on this one.
And then the last one is track record. And so if you are listening to this show today, because this seems to be your core pattern in your marriage, that over and over again, there is unresolved conflict. He never listens to me. I never listen to him. We always fight, blah, 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 blah. Then you have a track record that isn't trustworthy. If you're wondering why your husband won't even sit down and talk to you, that he totally ignores you, it's because he doesn't trust that it's not going to end up in a knockdown, drag-out fight.
Yeah.
So we have given you some kind of rules of engagement, right? Some things to keep in mind. I would add also, hon, the whole idea of screens. If you don't make time and talking with your spouse a priority, if you don't put the phone down and talk to them when they come in, or turn the TV off when you're having conflict, if you're half listening or half watching, you're telling them this thing is more important than you. This thing is more important than us. And so please give your spouse that undivided attention. Tell the kids, go in the other room. Dad and I are going to talk. Turn the TV off. Mom and I are going to talk. And so please give each other the priority and the attention that they need to feel heard and understood.
Man, that screen thing is tough, hon, because we are so guilty. We could be on screens and you could look at me and I go, well, but I'm doing something for work, or, well, I'm looking, and it's really just an excuse. It's a priority thing. And so it's it's so easy to buy into that, but it oftentimes comes at the expense of whether the other person's going to feel heard and understood. And so,
But I will say, on the flip side of that, we have a lot of people who are working from home now. Sometimes both of them are working from home.
Sure, yeah.
And so if that's the case, ladies especially, you cannot interrupt your man every 5 minutes with the most important question of the day, okay? What do you want for dinner? Or who's picking up the kids?
You could interrupt me for that.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? If he doesn't feel like he can get anything done, then it's going to cause irritation, and he's going to feel frustrated, okay? But if you respond and, respect the fact that he is working or you're working, and make time, if you and I were working at home and we stopped to eat lunch and we stopped to give each other that time and attention and work through any impasse or conflict, then I would be okay with, hey, you got to go work. I got to go work. You know, we used to leave and go to an office, but a lot of people don't do that anymore.
Yeah. So guys, there are so many little rabbit trails that are involved in conflict and conflict resolution that, again, we're going to continue to do some different shows on it, everything from comfort circle and 8 emotional necessities, the needs, because that you were triggering me on that when you're talking about, trust is a big deal, but what if I don't feel respected? What if I don't feel loved? What if I'm not in control? So there's all these different things that you got to tune your ears into, but first and foremost, you have to be aware of where you sit in the conflict, and then start to open up the door to the idea that you're going to be calm and you're going to work through that. So, guys, we hope this was helpful. If you need help, if you find that you're doing a lot of this conflict stuff in your own marriage and what you're doing doesn't seem to be working well, please reach out. Get yourself some help. You can definitely get a hold of us at rocksolidfamilies.org. Our phone number at the office is 812-576-7625. But don't allow, because even if they seem to be small, small wins and losses over a long period of time ends up being a very big loss in the whole war versus, well, it was just a little battle that I lost.
I was searching this word, and I'm not finding it fast enough, but there's a quarrelsome wife is like the dripping of a leaky roof in a rainstorm. Proverbs 27:15.
You notice that I didn't read that, because if I would have brought that up, we would have gotten some emails, and then Linda would have given me this look.
Here's another one. That was Proverbs 19:13. A quarrelsome wife is like a constant dripping on a leaky roof. Proverbs 21:9, better to live on the corner of a roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. Better to live in a desert, than a quarrelsome and nagging wife. Like, so come on, ladies, men, like, let's be better. Let's provide a safe place to really resolve that conflict or to settle that impasse, because, you may not have seen good conflict resolution growing up, but you can be trained in it. You can train an old dog new tricks. So don't be a victim. Don't say, and I've heard this before and you have too, this is just who I am.
Yep.
This is just what I do. That's actually a cop-out, and there's better things ahead. So please don't settle for anything less than God's best.
All right. So again, thanks again for listening to Rock Solid Families podcast, building a stronger community, one family at a time. Make it a great day. Rock Solid Families wants to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for sponsoring the Rock Solid Families podcast. Casey's has grown to be one of the largest and most unique garden centers and gift shops in the Cincinnati tri-state area. Whether you are looking to take on that next landscape project or simply add a little home decor to your house, Casey's has you covered. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Call them today at 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.